to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And we are back once again. It is a snowy, windy, cold spring day somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And we are tucked away in the war room. And joining me today is Mr. Magnum.
Good morning, Idaho.
Good morning, Idaho.
And all your bipolarism.
You know, I always wanted to have a, I always wanted to introduce, because I'm a radio guy. I've done radio, and I always wanted to get on there and say, good morning, Vietnam. Anyhow.
Love that movie.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's, anyhow, I did it. It's out of my system now. So all is good. So it's been a while since I feel like I repeat myself every time I do a podcast, sheepishly. It's been a while since I've done a podcast.
Yeah, is it, 2-3 weeks?
It's been 2 weeks.
Is it 2 weeks?
We'll say 2 weeks.
You're probably right.
Maybe I'm.
I don't know. There are some others out there with some great information that we haven't heard from in a month.
But he has a real job. I don't.
But we'll leave them unnamed.
Yeah. He shall remain unnamed. But I think he's forgotten, and he might be an American.
That's true. That's totally true.
I'm going to get a phone call now. As soon as I upload this, I give it 2 hours, and I'm getting a phone call.
You should. I'll follow it up with an email.
There you go. So, sir, lots going on here out at Patriot Defense, and you've been a key part of everything that's been happening. But we've got the women's classes are all going strong. The men's group is going fantastic. I'm busy.
It has been an optimistic year so far.
Oh, the permit classes are, and it's funny because I always talk about 30 people in the permit class. And then, there's 22. But that's not a bad thing, because it went from being super busy in past years to an average of, 11 to 14. You've seen this.
Yeah.
And now this year, just tons of people. I'm not complaining at all. This next class we have coming up, which is next Saturday, as a reminder, I have got 30 people here signed up for the full class. And then I've actually have 5 people that are going to show up, and they know that they're bringing their shooting gear, their shooting stuff, but they know that there's a good chance they're just going to be able to take the classroom portion, and then they'll have to come back for the shooting portion at another day. Actually, I got 6 people like that. And if we have some no-shows, they'll just jump in to the shooting portion. Plus, I've got 2 people signed up that are just taking the class portion because they've taken the shooting portion elsewhere. It's kind of getting, I'm not complaining, it's kind of getting confusing. To be 100% honest with you. It's pretty good. Every class this year, I've had, counting me, 4 people on the range helping. So me, you, and then 2 other guys.
Yeah.
And that's phenomenal. And I tell you what, I'm to the point now where unless it's a really small class, I really am enjoying, I don't know about you, I'm really enjoying having four guys on the range helping.
I was going to say shout out to those 2. There's, they're, students of the
shout them
men's
out.
class.
What are their names?
We got Jeremy and we got Nick.
Yeah.
Both guys came in the men's class. I remember the first year. Jeremy is high-speed guy, loves doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Has really improved his shooting. Nick is the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're still carrying Glocks, so I got to fault them a little bit. But
no.
They are great dudes.
No, Nick shoots a...
Oh, he's running a SIG now, is he not?
No, Walther.
That's the new one.
He's the Walther guy.
He started with the red Glock 19 though, that would not work.
No, that's the wrong guy. That's Bill.
You would know better than me. I remember faces. Names are killing me.
Yeah. But anyhow, they've been great help on the range. And so they know how to shoot. They know how to do all the stuff. And, they kind of are getting into the groove of helping. They're kind of getting So there's like a definite, when we do a permit class and we have the shooting portion, there's a definite flow to it.
Yeah.
Right. And I got a couple things in mind. One thing in mind actually is going to help improve that flow immensely, and you're going to like it, I think. But it's, you know, it just flows really, really nice. So but the thing that I'm going to do to help is I'm actually going to go out. I was going to do it, but it's been really windy. I'm going to go out with some spray paint, and I'm going to number the lanes.
I like that.
Why didn't I do that from the get-go? Like,
I don't know.
That's insane. Like I didn't even think about it. But we had the women's group the other night, and some people showed up late, and they're like no one's lined up with their targets, and I'm like, stop! Everyone stop! Everyone stop shooting! I got someone who's here, and she's like, what, Todd? Like, where do I go? And I'm like, good question. Let's find out. Made everyone stop shooting, and I was like, stand directly in front of the target, because everyone was just off a little bit. And so they weren't shooting like clear off to the right or clear off to the left, but they were just off kilter. I'm like, okay, we got to get some organization. I've never seen that happen before. And I'm like, okay, I'm numbering the range. But in the permit classes, you help me out a bunch. You say, okay, everyone stay up here. I'm going to assign you lanes. Now you can say, you're lane 15, 14, 13. I mean, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And people are going to know, right? They're going to know where to go.
Yeah, and it is great having Nick and Jeremy out there, too, to help line them up.
Yeah,
You know, make sure their gear is getting out there, because when you're assigning them lanes...
It is chaos at first.
It can be. Guns going everywhere. Magazines are already full. You don't know if the gun is loaded.
Yeah, and then people spread all their stuff out on the table. Like, no, we got to fit like 2 people here.
Yep. Yep, for sure.
Like, you can't take up 3 lanes. So I'm looking forward to getting that organized and taken care of, and on the straight and narrow. And we won't talk about it too much today, but remember, I'm saying this out loud so you can remember. Remember how we talked about switching up the permit classes a little bit? Remember?
A little bit, yes.
So that's still in the works. I've just been busy with other things. But maybe by midsummer we'll do that, and we'll try to like get that rolling out and actually making people more accountable for their shooting ability in the permit class, even more than what the law or the statute says that they have to be. Yeah,
and I think with Patriot Defense being what it is in the last my experience here within the 5 years in the Magic Valley.
It's getting bigger.
There are some things that stand out above others. Getting to your permit class and popping off those 98 rounds, maybe that's just a thing, right? But we're focused on their safety, people learning something when they walk out of here,
right,
and feeling more comfortable and accomplished. We always say that, hey, that permit class is not a training class, but why can't it be the first stages of it?
Yeah, exactly. And, and people are learning some stuff in that class, but let's give them, okay, this is what we encourage going out and shooting and continuing to train. And we say it's an educational class, not a, quote, training class, right? But why can't we give them the tip of that, like the tip of the iceberg, like a drop in the bucket? This is what you could be, right? This
exactly.
is, open that door, and then that's the goal.
Well, in the training style that we've been able to do out there, I find the most rewarding part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Is watching them go from, an 11 by 8 piece of paper as their group.
Yeah.
To bringing it down to, 2 inches. Some people shoot better. Maybe they're shooting quarter size groups. But when they started, they were barely on the paper. Or maybe they were grouping well, but they're grouping, the typical low left. My sights are off, right?
Yeah.
And with just a few minutes of giving the correct guidance, allowing them to soak up that data, and then watching them develop and get better, and they get excited about it.
They do.
They're like, hey, I didn't know this before I got here. Or both you and I bring additional firearms. If somebody brings something that doesn't fit them or it doesn't work, they have an opportunity to try something else, figure out what makes it better for them. And now Patriot Defense sent them home
with knowledge,
a little more prepared.
Yeah.
Some knowledge, and then they can go, change up to a firearm that fits them.
Yeah.
And now they're excited to, hey, maybe I can learn this.
And yeah, they have a vision of what could be.
Exactly.
And I think that's so cool. And I'm really looking forward to, I will change that up. it's and I don't know how you see it, but on my end, it's, and I'm no excuses, but it's gonna have to sit down. I'm gonna have to rewrite. Does that, I'm gonna have to sit down there, change up the classroom portion, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, and I get comfortable. I've been doing this over 10 years now, and I get comfortable, and you kind of fall into a groove. This is how it works. I mean, I've got everything. People don't realize it, but I got everything timed. I can tell you with the amount of people that are in each class what time we're going to finish up. Like, I know exactly, right? So it's just me having to fine tune everything and get it to fit, and you get comfortable. You get, that's kind of a mainstay class, but it's time to change it up. It's time to give back more to the shooting community as far as teaching people they need to practice, they need to train, they need to be better, they need to reach for more. And if I'm expecting people to be more, then I need to help offer that. Yeah. Does that make, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I when I come out to help, I just see my role to assisting is,
and you do great,
doing whatever Patriot Defense's curriculum is, but ultimately also teaching them safety.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Each and everyone have a different idea of safe. They don't understand why we leave the slide lock to the rear.
Yeah.
They don't. Then you see dozens of them come out and inadvertently sweeping their neighbor by just trying to lock the slide to the rear.
Oh yeah.
And it's they're not unintelligent people, it's not something they do regularly, and you're able to put that in their mind, and then you watch them progress as they go, and they immediately make those changes because they realize, oh, I was doing this wrong, I'm going to make this better and safer. Right? It's very far and few between that I've had to go back and remind somebody. Usually the biggest one I get is the fishing. Constantly reminding the guys with the fishing poles to keep the rounds below the berm, please.
Yeah, and we tell everyone why it's so important, how it relates to drawing the gun, and we had a whole class on it today, which we'll get to in just a minute, and it kind of works into why is that important. But also the other part of it is just like you said, is safety. You are responsible for every round that leaves your firearm, and this time of year, and it's always important all year, but this time of year we have farmers in fields. And maybe not directly behind the berm, but maybe a half a mile away where we can't see them, right?
Yeah.
And the rounds can't go over. I don't think I've had any go over, but I can't start.
Yeah.
Can't start now. Like, I don't need the neighbors to call me. I don't need anyone to drive in the driveway going, hey, sir, we've got a report, right? And I just want people to have good habits.
And we certainly don't want anybody downrange, a child in a yard,
getting hurt.
Anybody that out there inadvertently being hit by rounds because somebody was doing something irresponsible.
Right.
And you can only control what you can control, but really focusing in on if there is a safety issue and driving it home, how important and why. I would say without having to be adversely rude at first.
Yeah.
But in the people of Magic Valley, the people that come to see Patriot Defense, I don't think I've ran into anybody that hasn't been receptive to that, and good bunch of folks around here.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. So, we talk a lot this year. You've, I don't like. I mean, I guess I don't know if I have. You're probably kind of the closest thing to an employee I have, Mr. Magnum. I mean, you are, right, and I appreciate all your help, and I compensate you the best I can. I promise.
Quite honestly.
I know you do it for free.
I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I hope I never have to read a story where one of our students has to defend themselves. But I am certainly proud of reading a story where a student has defended themselves, and maybe because we were able to contribute to that, that they survived that or their family survived that. Man, that is the peak. That's why we do what we do.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely is. And so as we sit down and we text quite a bit, and I talk to you, we call you every now and then, but as we talk about things to come this year for Patriot Defense, like stuff we've got in the plans, like we're discussing, more rifle stuff, which is different for Patriot Defense, right? We've discussed a tactical shotgun class, which is way different for Patriot Defense. We talked about using my other range, which most people don't know I have. But I do. I don't know if that piqued your interest when you saw that. You were like,
I did. I was already envisioning where the targets are going to go, where the steels should be.
Yeah, you need to go for a little range tour. Now I got to go clean it up. But I mean, I'm really excited, honestly, I'm excited for things to come this year. I really am. I'm excited to try some new classes and do some different things and kind of just, put our toe in, different waters, I guess.
I've taken a lot of classes from different organizations here in the Magic Valley, Washington State, and in Eastern Idaho. They all have really great curriculum. They all have something super to offer in the skill set for developing firearm shooters and that. What I have seen there is you have a lot of shooters that come in that have a basic idea of firearms, that have a basic idea of the operation of their equipment and how it can be employed, but mainly in a tactical setting, right? There's not a lot of personal defense stuff. There's been one or two, and usually they're private off classes, and they do a great job at what they do. What I've seen here at Patriot Defense is this is the first place I've seen that takes it like we call it from sperm to germ. Right? It's you take them from the very beginning. The folks, we had a lady in tonight that trained who has very, very little firearms handling.
Yes.
Right? She has a firearm for her home, but she doesn't carry. She's interested in carrying, but she's trying to build confidence. There are not a lot of places that focus on building that up. And that's where Patriot Defense really shines, is where these folks are coming and you're taking them from those baby steps that have never experienced, hey, we had a class here, two folks came in for rifles, right? They didn't know which end was which. The rifles they still had the tags on them when they pulled them out of the bag.
Yep, yeah.
In the style of Patriot Defense, we're able to slow down and take them step by step. How does the gun operate? What each part does? These sorts of things. And that's something that you don't generally see offered anywhere. And you start those steps there, and we start moving, towards the basics. Now, there are tactical schools, and those schools are great. You learn a skill set that is you must have at some point. But if you didn't start somewhere and you go into those tactical schools, you're unsafe most of the time. You feel out of place for the folks that have trained and gotten there. And unfortunately, sometimes you get left behind, or you end up dragging the other members of the class down that have put in the time. And that's not to say that you're doing anything wrong, because you're on your own progressive curve trying to learn and get better. But you don't want to stifle somebody else's class to do that. I think that's where Patriot Defense is really shining, is that you're building those beginning steps for those shooters. I've seen ladies come in here that were afraid of firearms.
Oh yeah, lots.
And
lots.
I remember it was 5 years ago, the one lady that came in, and I don't remember her name. I'm sure you'll remember her, but she has a host of handguns now, and is a fairly proficient shooter.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to touch them when she came in. Her son came in. I remember him distinctly because he was running a SIG 226, and I think it was her 226 for his permit class. And her at first, she didn't want to touch them. She just kind of came with friends. She wanted to learn about it. Within a few months, her son was out here getting his permit class with one of her newer guns, and now she has a whole plethora and is an accomplished shooter. So you're really building that the sperm to germ. You're growing them from infancy to all the way through advanced shooting.
Yeah, and it's I love it. I love to see repeat shooters come back, take more classes, and get interested and get passionate about it, and carry on with their training. I appreciate everything you just said. I really do, because when I started this it seems like a long time ago, which it was a while back, right? I never envisioned it ever getting to this. Now, I'm not getting rich. I'm paying my bills. I'm happy. Like I'm enjoying what I do, and it's just every year it just gets a little bit better, and I freaking love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And there's days especially days like today, right? So I offer the permit classes, I have my basic classes, and those are all great classes. but occasionally, you know, it's always when I do something new, right, for Patriot Defense. I think outside of the box, right? And you help me do this. We've been over the last couple years, I guess, probably, started with the Women's Shooting Academy. We did you come in and offer a little bit on open hand combat, hand to hand, type stuff, how to break out of grips, stomp, kick, all that stuff. We did that for a little bit. And then we added another class, which was improvised weapons, coup batons, stuff like that. And we finally added it all together with a little bit of firearms retention and shooting the Sims rounds today. They're creating space and then taking shots at me after teaching them how to break out of a grip, right? And
well, let's talk about the culmination of that, right? So, because we had the brand new shooter in the class who had that firearm at home.
Yeah,
we had she's a new shooter who wants to carry but doesn't carry. She's not ready for it yet. Mm-hmm. And then we had a pretty experienced shooter in there, right? So she's had some classes, but we started out with those basics. Let's go to the KISS simple, right? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
By the end of that class, they drew from concealment. Mm-hmm. While being accosted, chased, and then successfully put rounds on a moving human target in under 7 feet.
Yeah.
And that was, in an 8-hour period.
Yeah.
Kudos to the students because they came in with an open mind.
Oh, they were, yeah.
They
were involved.
Very involved, asked solid questions. Really a delightful group to hang around.
Oh,
they were super awesome.
Fantastic.
And they accepted reality for what it was, even though it was a bit brutal, and still walked away from it gaining something.
Yeah.
So it was pretty awesome today. I'm pretty stoked. I think it was great.
I'm so excited, and I see this as the birth of, you know what I'm saying, bigger and better, right? I mean, so we did the class and I got the stuff that we needed, the tools, everything that we needed, but I can always do better. And we started off small, and I'm hoping this grows because this was a very fun class. And what I really liked was the dose of reality at the end. I really enjoyed that. And I like to see them, their eyes open. They got scared. They got even the more, there's 3 students, right? Even the more confident one, like I took her out of her comfort zone toward the end.
Yeah.
Like if you've never, and I don't go out and just do this, right? But if you have a Sims gun and you're under the eye of a trained instructor and you're doing it correctly, it's something else to point a gun at somebody.
It is.
And then to have that person, you've just broke free from a grip, a chokehold, whatever it is, you're trying to create that distance. And then I kind of watched each person, each student, each woman, and I figured out kind of where her comfort zone was. I don't know if you saw me doing that, right? And kind of pushed past that, and they were all different. And the last lady, the other ones I just kind of stood there, right? And the last one, I charged her. Like she broke free, she drew the gun from concealment, and I charged her, and I think I just went, rah! I don't know what, I made some noise, but she wasn't expecting that. And the look, and she got me, which I planned it, but man, the look on her face. I don't know if you saw that, but she was backing up quick.
Yeah. It was definitely.
She was almost to the table, like.
and one thing I noticed with her. Ooh, let me shift a little bit here.
Oh, you're fine.
One thing I noticed with her being the more seasoned shooter and more time on the range, and she brought this up as well.
Yes.
And for the listeners out there, right? You spend your time on your range. It's very different. Because all of your safety, all of your practice is mentality. Don't point things that you don't want to destroy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't put your finger on the trigger till you're ready to shoot. Mm-hmm. Right? And that is drilled into your head at every paper range that there is. Right? Even in ranges that are tactically trained, you're not sweeping the people you're with. You're not sweeping the people on the range because it's dangerous. But ultimately, you end up pointing a firearm at another human and pulling the trigger. So there's a conundrum in there, and because we train it into their brain
not to do it,
yeah, you can see the hesitation on her part. And that, just in that first section where we started running her through the dry portion of it, where she looks at it and goes, I'm not, she wasn't confident in pulling and pointing a firearm at somebody.
And she stated that, yeah.
Yeah. Because it breaks all those rules.
And we started with the blue guns even. And that was weird at first.
It's a little strange.
So, but go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. And I know other firearms instructors out there, they get this, they understand this. Like I said, there's some really great ones here in the Magic Valley. If you guys want tactical stuff, go see them, right? They do some super tactical stuff. If you want practical application, come see Patriot Defense. I'm not seeing anybody do concealment stuff, right? And I wish more people would do it. We see on the vast majority of time, and I am very much into this, I am a tactical LARPer from the word go. I got all the Gucci crap. I got the holsters, the Safariland, the mag pouches on the belt, body armor, the whole bit, right? Is my fat body going to war? Probably not.
Boogaloo boy.
Yeah, somewhat, right? I can play the part. And there is from talking to another far more experienced guy, trains military folks, law enforcement, super awesome guy here in the Magic Valley. Talk to him, and there is practicality to that.
So what was your question to him, though? What was your question to him? Like, go ahead and state it. You can cuss, you can whatever.
My journey, obviously, and this when you're a practical person and you try to live a gray man life, right? You keep your firearm concealed. You don't put the stickers on your car. You don't put crap all over yourself advertising that you have a firearm. Right. And you try to live that life of, it's that firearm is there not as a weapon, but as a shield, right? But when you go out to the range and you do the boogaloo stuff, right? And we're talking kit. I mean, I'm not picking on you, but I'm just painting the picture because a lot of people are into this, and there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with going out fully kitted up. You're running courses, you're doing rifles, you're doing handgun transitions, all that stuff. Yep. And it's all really good stuff to learn. But in my practical brain, it started going, am I just playing range theatrics? Is this just something to play with? So I had to go talk to a couple of guys that were experienced. They did, they had live action in the GWAT. So, and I'm going, where is this applicable, right? And they tell you up front, well, there's this portion and this portion and this portion are applicable. And I'm not going to divulge it to you guys. You're going to have to come to class to learn that. Yeah. But there are applications where all that cool gear and all that run and gun and fun stuff, there are pieces of that you must train, you must learn. Right. But don't forget the concealed carry aspect of it, right? We know that tactics will triumph, mindset and tactics triumph over equipment every single day. Yeah. You can have the best gear in the world and get smoked on the side of the road, and then somebody gets your gear, right? If you don't have tactics, if you don't have the mindset that you need to defend yourself and others and stop evil from happening, all the gear, the tactics aren't going to make a difference. So it starts with that mindset, moves on to the tactics, then, gear it up, do what you want to do, right? Get training. But don't forget to train what you do every single day, right? Yeah. If you're going to carry a gun in your car, I'm not a magnet guy. Don't put the gun in your car, right? Yeah. It's not a holster. Keep it on your body. Yeah. But train like that. If you want to do the Gucci stuff, remember that or you want to do the tactic stuff on the range, remember it's range stuff. There are things that you need to learn from it, but it's not that should not be your limit level of training. And so I've seen people, and I'm not picking on anyone because some people just kind of don't. I don't know if they think about it, and I also think the people that I've dealt with, I don't think they realize it or they don't think about it, right? They go and they take these other classes, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with them. But then they come here and, they bring everything, right? All their fancy stuff, their battle, all this stuff. Great, fantastic. I'm sure you're great with that stuff. I'm not doubting you. But where's your concealed carry gun? Where's the gun you carry on yourself every day? And then can you shoot it? Have you drawn from concealment? Do you have a proper holster for it? You have a proper holster for the one you run and gun with. You have all that stuff,
But also, like you said, focus. You need to focus as well on the one that you're going to carry with you all the time. You're not going to pick it up. It's not the exact same gun, so it's really hard to pick it up and do that same stuff. The mag changes. I mean, the mechanics are the same, but different firearm things work differently. Different. I want to say it doesn't make different time space continuum. You know what I'm saying? You know. And so you have to train with the firearm that you're going to carry every day as well. I guarantee you probably train drawn from your battle belt. You probably train all that stuff. You train the rifle pistol transitions, right? A lot of people do. You do that.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. And I know you do the other stuff too, but a lot of people, that's where it ends. So I'm good. I'm good. I'm this. I'm that. Well, you probably are, and a lot of that stuff will transition over. But when's the last time you pulled out you're gonna love this. When's the last time you pulled out your G19 that you carry on your person every single day, and maybe you run a 1911 or something like that, you know, at the run and gun class? You have to learn that gun as well.
Yeah. And
it's probably the most important one, actually.
And the reloads, right?
Yeah.
So are you practicing your reloads from concealment? If the vast majority of folks are catching on that the appendix carry is the smarter way to go.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of those folks, including myself, run sidecars. You know,
I've got one. I haven't run it yet, but I've got one.
I love running the sidecar, but I also have holsters that don't run a sidecar, right? They're just for the gun, or one is meant for just a light, essentially, and I can attach any gun to it.
Mm-hmm.
But are you practicing that reload from your pocket? You know, are you practicing the reload from that sidecar? Better yet, how many folks out there are running a truck gun, right? So you got an AR rifle in your truck, or maybe you're a shotgun guy and you run that in your truck and you sling that over your chest. Are you practicing your transitions from your concealed carry gun that runs appendix, and you swap that rifle down over your chest and now it's blocking your access to that handgun?
Yeah.
Are you practicing those things? Can you clear your cover garment with a rifle laying across your chest and to get to your handgun? You know, and ultimately, you know, you use the rifle to fight to your handgun, but if your rifle goes down, you got what you got.
Mm-hmm.
Just aspects of thinking, you know, the vast majority of folks just going to carry a handgun. It's simpler, it's less effective, but it's simpler, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to be one of those guys, and I don't have a truck gun, I don't, you know, unless, let me rephrase it, I don't always have a truck gun. If I'm going to somewhere that's far away, I have a truck gun, right?
Right.
So, or hunting even, you know. So you got to practice those things, or you need to go see somebody to teach you how to practice those things. And I think that's the biggest key that everybody forgets. You can go train, but if you're training the wrong things, then you're creating
bad muscle memory.
Yeah, bad muscle memory and handicaps for yourself. One of the biggest things I learned training at one of the local places here was gear setup, right? I was running my cool battle belt. I got my chest rig on. It's all stacked full of magazines. Comes time for a mag change. my speed reloads are gone. It's time to reload for my chest rig, right? Well, my mag sat too low. I got an inappropriate grip on that mag, so I go to pull that magazine out of that chest rig, and it goes whoop across the range, right? Or it slows down my reload, and I had to go talk to the trainer, keeping an open mind. Hey, man, what am I doing wrong? How do I make this better? He gave me some suggestions, showed me how to do it properly. I now practice that the correct way, and I don't miss my reloads. I get my mags out of my chest rig and where they need to be. And it's the same thing for running stuff off of the battle belt, right? I run that rifle down and I drop it over my chest, and, you know, you've done 3 or 4 drills of transitions to your pistol. All of a sudden your pistol goes dry and you need to reload that sucker, and you go to grab where your magazine is, your speedily reloaded magazine is, and you realize that you have a big fat ass rifle sitting right across the top of it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't set up your gear. You didn't think about it. And you only get that through training. You get that through talking to professionals who come out and say, or guys that have been down that road saying, hey, I've done that before. Try moving it back this way. I know it doesn't make sense now, but when you do this, it's going to make sense. The class we just had in there, we talked to the ladies about appendix draw, and you have a way of clearing your cover garment specific to your firearm. one of our ladies in there, that works well for her on what she was using. The other one switched over to something that I use.
Sure.
Because it worked for her. But you don't know that until you train it. And you don't know that until somebody who has been down that road shows you the proper, safe way of doing it.
Well, so this also, you know, let's say someone hasn't done the tactical stuff and the battle belt and stuff, and they are a concealed carrier, right? They have the gun that they carry all the time. But then, so, you know, sometimes people change up holsters. They change up guns based on what they're doing that day or where they're going. So a couple examples. Maybe they carry, you know, well, I'll just go with the G19 because it's on the top of my head. I know you're looking at me and go, you idiot. So maybe they carry a G19 every day. But maybe when they go to church, they decide they want to carry a revolver. It's a little easier. It fits somewhere different on their hip, under their suit coat, whatever it might be, right? And it makes you feel like an old school detective, which is freaking badass. Ask me how I know. Like, it's like you feel like you're gonna have an accent. It's great, man. But anyhow, maybe they carry that, so that's gonna be different. How do you reload that? Do you just load it and you just carry it to church? How do you reload that? That's going to be a different reload. How do you grip it? Where do you carry it? It's going to feel way different when you draw it to fire it. Your draw might be a little, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you got to think outside the box. You have to train all those things for every firearm you're going to carry. When I run, I carry a little tiny gun in a wonderful holster that I built myself, and I don't carry it. I carry it in my running vest, right? So I have to practice getting that out and using it from that position. I'm not going to go to my appendix because there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And it's way smaller, and I like larger guns, and this thing's little and it's tiny, so I have to figure out how to manipulate that little piece of crap, because that's essentially what it is, I'll admit it, with my big old long fingers, and that's hard to do. But I have to practice it, and I have to train like that, or I'm lost, right?
Yeah. I mean, sight alignment, trigger press, all those things are universal across firearms, right?
Yes.
The trigger press can be different based on the arc of the trigger. If it's straight press back, the trigger, the SCCY, I don't care how hard you work on that trigger.
Yeah.
It is god awful.
Well, you know the gun I'm talking about, that little gun.
Yeah.
That thing is freaking horrible.
It's terrible all around.
It's 10 miles long.
And the point is to train with it. Right?
Yeah.
You get out, you train, you shoot, and you train. If you're carrying it, and I know I'm going to steal this from somebody I know, right? You know, carrying is for comforting, not to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And so my advice is always carry a gun that you can fight with, right? The smallest size you can fight with. Would I choose that little gun? No. If I had the choice between that and slingshot, I'm going to take the gun.
Well, let's talk about it, though, because there's different guns for different things, right? I'm not going to go run 20 miles with my... You can pick on me, that's fine. But I'm not going to go run 20 miles with my VP9. Like, that's not a thing for me. True. It's big, it's heavy, and it chafes. So, you know, I've had to learn to adjust for different things. It's definitely not my main carry. Like, have I got lazy and carried it before? Yes, I have. Because it's little, and I fell into that trap. Every now and then I feel a little lazy, folks, and so that's what happens. But, you know, different guns for different situations, right? If you would go running with me, you would understand. I'm not picking on you.
I won't run.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Simply because
I'm fat enough.
I carry a 4-pound all steel God's caliber firearm. My pants would drag on the ground.
That's what I'm
working again.
That's what I'm saying. So instead of you having to go to little gun, you just don't do that activity. I get
That's
it.
right.
I get it.
Or I might put a chest rig with a counterweight on my back. Yeah.
I actually have a chest rig, and I carried a G19 in there. I felt like I was dying. I was, because you have to have it tight, or it sits there and goes like this, and pretty soon your freaking man nipples are like bleeding, right?
So I'm thinking Patriot Defense, runners, firearms, holsters, you know, specialized for.
Here you go. There you go. Anyhow, we're a little off topic, but yeah. No, I mean, what we're saying is right, and I just want people to know that if you like to go and run and gun and have fun, there's nothing wrong with that. You're going to develop all kinds of awesome skills that will cross over. but you also have to, don't forget your carry gun. Don't forget, not your battle gun, right? Don't forget the gun you're carrying on yourself when you go to your kid's soccer practice or you're going to go to the grocery store, because that other gun matters too. Hopefully we never get to a situation where you need that gun for the way you train. Does that make sense? But you don't, you need to focus as well on the gun that's with you every single day.
Well, I think what's just as important as that too is focus on what you wear.
Yeah.
You can have your favorite gun and draw it out of your favorite T-shirt with your favorite belt on and your just the pants, right? And then introduce a hoodie or a zip up front jacket.
Yeah.
And if you're not training to get that gun out under all of that crap, it's useless when it comes time to get there, right? Ultimately, at that point, it becomes tactics. Like, my draw is really slow. Do I pull it out here? Or do I move to a position that is cover and or concealment, right? And unzip and make my draw from there, right? So it's going to be a slower paced draw. You're not going to be the cool guy, action packed, under a second, blast a bad guy kind of thing. You're going to have to think about what you're doing first. But the point is you need to practice those things. You go through that what if game, build those tactics up, particularly for concealed carry. Right, because battle belt situation, you could throw a battle belt on the outside of your jacket, and with some limiting movement restrictions, your draw stroke's going to be the same. Your equipment is going to be where it needs to be. It might be a little tight when you go to throw your shoulders up because it's pulling down on your jacket, but ultimately you're going to fight through that. When all that stuff is underneath that winter jacket or underneath that extra layer of hoodie,
You got to dig it out.
yeah. Or you're wearing gym shorts and you're carrying a full size gun. Stuff's not gonna be where it's supposed to be.
Chafing. Oh, the chafing. Ask me how I know.
Oh no, that's too personal.
But overall, I don't know much more to say except for just think about what you're doing, go out and have fun, and then make sure you're training everything. Everything is important.
Knowledge is power.
It is.
Right? And knowledge is individualistic, right? So we had those ladies in the class. You got a tall one. You got that none of them were, they were all in shape ladies. They take care of themselves, right? But then you have me, who's just a fat slob guy, right? I happen to lift. I happen to do things, but I have limitations. So I'm going to work to my best limitations, and the point of taking all of that information, assimilating it, picking out what works best for me,
you, yeah,
and then applying and training that, right? And it's also good to have an observer there. You got a training buddy, a battle buddy.
Saying, have you thought about this?
Yeah.
Have you noticed this?
Exactly. Hey, when you pull that gun out, did you know it was at your femoral artery?
Yeah.
Or when you go to rehearse, you may not want to do that because you might want to have some more kids.
Yeah.
But having that critical eye to look in and make adjustments and help, and recognizing your own mistakes and not being too egotistical to look at it and go, God, my sights are off. I'm low left again, man. This gun.
These sights keep moving. I don't know what to do about this.
Totally, if you're shooting long enough, you know what the mistakes are, correct them, right? And if you're doing something and you're not getting it, have that buddy look at it and go, hey, I need to watch this. What am I doing, right? What am I doing that this is wrong? Everybody should have that mindset. When you go to a new class, if you've trained at a dozen different places, you don't walk in, I've trained at a dozen different places and I already know this shit. Right? No, you're a student.
You're there to learn.
You're there to learn whatever they have to teach, and you're to practice it while you're there. If it works for you and makes it better, awesome. If parts of it work for you and it blended better with something else you did, use those, right? And then pass that knowledge on. So it's
tool and toolbox.
Keep open-minded about it.
Yep.
Go in with a student's mindset.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's perfect. That's a perfect summary. You've seen students come in and they're like, I'm here because I just want my permit. I'm not open to learning. I mean, they don't say it like that, but I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah.
You've seen it.
Yeah. I've seen some folks come in that have, you would expect they've done a lot of training, and maybe they have. And I say it all the time. I am not the best shooter, right? I can hold my own. I do a decent job. There are things that I obviously need to improve.
Sure,
I'm
everybody
always
does.
wanting to move forward.
Yeah.
Right. But that's my mindset. There are folks that come in, guys or gals that come in, and they've been there, they've done it all, and they know everything already. So the cup is full and it's running over. And when they go to make that proof is in the pudding on the range, there's something wrong with the gun. Or I'm not used to this one. I haven't had it out in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I've had that excuse, but that lasts about 5 rounds, right? It's you orient yourself to the gun, sight alignment, trigger press.
If you're
It's
good.
that simple.
Yeah, and really, figure it out and adapt.
Exactly. I will tell you right off the top, I can shoot Glocks very well. I don't like them. I will guarantee you my first 2 to 3 rounds are low left every single time. And I put the thought into it beforehand.
You have to remember what you're shooting.
But I still screw it up, and then I have to figure it out. It's like, oh, this is what I'm doing wrong. I ran on Glocks all the time. I'm disgusted by their grip angle. But the gun itself is a great firearm. There's nothing wrong with it. Works very, very well. Has for a long time. It just doesn't fit me, and I have to get used to it.
Yeah. The one I love is it's windy out. And I'm like, and
It's 7 yards. It's not that effective.
Yeah, it's windy out. But anyhow, I do appreciate your help today. I'm on this. I'm riding this like high. Like today was phenomenal in my mind. I love today. Today was so much fun.
It was a blast. And those ladies, again, shout out to you ladies. Thank you so much for coming in. Your open-mindedness, your comedy that you add to it,
great.
the light mood, and the camaraderie between you 3 ladies is great. And we hope that you bring out more folks, tell your friends, and let's get more people trained up.
Yeah.
Right? Because the safer you are, the safer our community is.
Yep, I agree 100%. So I'm sorry it took me so long to get another podcast out. So here, my excuse. I had a hard time pinning James down, and it was windy outside.
And it was windy. Sights are off, man.
My sights were off. I kept missing the mark. I come out here, and so first things James said, he hasn't been in the war room for a little while. He came in the war room, he goes, "That's a big ass TV." And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of probably where my focus went when I came in here was, ooh, YouTube. Ooh, Netflix. And the next thing I know, it's like, I got a class in 45 minutes. I don't have time for that podcast anymore. No, I'll get better at it, I promise. But if you listen, I do appreciate it. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. Share it on the social media. And if anyone is still listening, you can call. You can text me at area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. If you got a story, you want to be on the podcast, you got a question, whatever, just... I don't care if you're from overseas, man. I've had that happen before. I had a dude that was serving in, I don't know where he was from. I forget where he was from. Somewhere over in Europe. And he was like stationed. He was like with his country's military. And he was down in freaking Africa. Like, it was cool. Like, he'd send me pictures and like, it was pretty cool. So get a hold of me. I'm currently talking with a gentleman that got a hold of me. He's from, where's he at? He's in Bangkok. Like, it's cool. Like he sends me a picture. It's pretty cool. I'm like learning all about Bangkok. It's pretty wild. But yeah, get a hold of me. I'd love to chat. So I do appreciate it. Everyone keep listening to the podcast, share it. And, I don't know when you'll hear from me again.
Peace.
Maybe in a week. Bye.